car has lots of sound deadening. And then underneath the seats and in front of the seats. So I'm going to go the cheap route here. I've got a heat gun. I've got scrapers, spatulas, whatever. And we're going to use some heat and remove that. The best way is the more costly way, and that's to get dry ice and mix it with rubbing alcohol. But I'm cheap. Here we go with paying the price for that. It's not too bad getting off 95% of it. The last 5%, however, is a bitch. I think since it's so clean, I'm just going to shoot it with red. A little before and after buffing, compounding out the hood and the roof. And right about there is where it stops. So I know we've changed directions, but it certainly brought out a shine and a deeper red. So I'm going to continue going. Foam pad, buffer, and I've got a Meguiar's Ultimate Compound that I'm putting on. Compounding's done. Got a coat of turtle wax over it now. I'm ready to hitch it up and tow it to a track event. So when I was at the track, I seemed to get a soft brake pedal towards the end of the day. So the one part of the brake system I haven't replaced is the master cylinder. So I've got a new one in here, and the first thing to do was to pull out these plugs, which were at each of these outlet ports. There's one on the bottom. There it is. And replace them with the threaded plugs that they were provided with the kit. And you fill the reservoir up with brake fluid, and you take what they say a blunt tool, and I used a large Phillips screwdriver, and you press the piston in about 1 inch, and you look for air bubbles. And I've done this already, so the air bubbles are gone. And now I'll move on to installing it into the car. So here is the master cylinder in the car, bolted to the firewall. It's actually bolted to the power brake booster. And there are 3 lines there, and around on the back, which I've gone through with a 10mm wrench and loosened. And you got to be careful when you loosen these that you don't twist the tube that is attached to each of the flare nuts. So you just crack it a little bit and then go back and keep working it to make sure that the flare nut is loose from the tube. Once you do all that, you make sure you're good with those, then you can remove the master cylinder from the car. So one other thing I'm going to do is put some cardboard underneath to catch any of the dripping brake fluid. The master cylinder is out of the way now. One of the things I did do was this rubber line here, rubber hose, is the feed for the hydraulic clutch. So I had a little old cat food can, tuna can, that I used when I pulled that off to catch the flowing brake fluid. The other thing I could have done was pump out the brake fluid from the master cylinder first. I also, in addition to just cardboard, I put a catch pan down underneath to catch any of the dripping brake fluid. So now I'll move on and install the new one. The new one's in, not without a fight. This one, I don't know if the threads were crossed or what the deal was, but it took a lot of cranking to get that to finally seal against brake pressure. Now the next thing I found was that the plug for the brake fluid sensor, see how that's got one in one direction and one at 90 degrees to that? Well, the plug that it's supposed to go into has them parallel to each other. So I did discover that the one that was in before, it just pops out and it reuses this. So I'm going to do just that. Go in behind, push these two little tanks together, slide out the part from there and replace it with the old one.